Hey Wiki Hunters, welcome back to another The Wiki Hunt photography video. So hopefully for those of you who've been watching this channel, the video that I have posted hopefully have been either been helpful, entertaining, or inspiring altogether. And please feel free to give me a feedback and let me know if these are the case or if you have any suggestion on what I should cover next. But today I want to talk to you about this meteor shower that is supposed to pick up tomorrow, around 8 to 2 o'clock in the morning, apparently all the way to sunrise. It is the Geminid Meteor Shower. I think it's called the Gemini. Is it Gemini? Gemini? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, to be honest, but for this purpose, let's call it the Geminid Meteor Shower. And in this video, I want to take you through, especially for those of you who are new to astrophotography, on how to, first of all, plan it, how to find the constellation, and how to choose your gear as well as to set your camera in order to capture this meteor shower. All right, well, let's jump right into it. So first of all, what you have to do is you need to find where the Gemini constellation, that is where the meteor shower gonna radiate from. And for this purpose, you could see it really depends on, there are a lot of different astrophotography app out there. One that I really like to use is called Stellarium, and um, just open it up here, and just right there at the top there, Stellarium. I know I have a lot of apps, don't judge me. But yeah, there's you could see right there the Gemini right in the middle, right there, the Gemini constellation. Now this app is actually pretty cool. So if you are going to use Stellarium, I think there are paid apps. I can't quite remember if they are or not. Basically, click this oh sorry click this four square on the, or six square I should say, I don't know how to count apparently, six square on the left corner right there, and it will come out with this different basically toggles that you could pick. And just click on the Orion, make sure that's on, right? And then pick on the compass looking thing. Also, it would be helpful if you click the landscape here on the right corner, and for that reason you should be able to see where the horizon is. So this bit on the dark bit on the bottom is basically where the horizon, so you cannot see it compared to this one. Now, how do you know where that Gemini is gonna be at during different day, different times, and so forth? So go to these three lines right here, and then there is at the very top, there is one that says date and time. Just click that in there and then change it to the day that you want it. So today is the 12th, we change it to the 13th, and we'll change that to maybe at 11, depending what time you're gonna head off, right? And what it does, you will notice on the background there that it actually shifts a little bit. You see how it shifts depending on the time and the day. That's basically the location of the constellation with the reference to us. So if you were to change that from the 13th to 14th and make that maybe like 1 a.m., so that's 2 a.m. pretty much, right? So as soon as you go back here, you'll be able to see the Gemini is right above there, about what, 30 degrees high up elevation. Now you could also see that the direction you need to look at is southeast. You see the south on the right and then east on the left hand side. Now obviously the where the Gemini constellation really depends on the time of the day, and so just make sure that you set the time, and make sure that you find a place that face that way. What to do with your camera in order to capture this meteor shower? So one thing that I really recommend you to do is to do a long exposure. Now, depending on whether or not you care about the star trails, um, you might want to set your shutter speed at certain time. If you have a full frame and you don't want to have a star trails and you have a 16 millimeter lens, then you could probably start with 30-second ISO 3200 and at f-stop the widest one you have. So I have a 2.8 lens. If those of you have the Sigma art and have the 1.4, do that. But if you have an f4, it's not too big of a deal as well. So set it up to that. Now from there, that is a really good starting point in terms of the setting, because usually that is the setting that I use to expose for the stars. Now if you want to, if by 30-second you zoom in and then you notice this comma in it, it basically means that the shutter speed is too long, and what it does, it picks up the movement of the rotation of the earth. So it's just something to keep in mind. So if you don't like to have that comma, if you want the stars to be really pointy dot, if you really care about that much, then you want to reduce the shutter speed. Now this is really depend on the zoom lens and the type of sensor that you have. um, the the more zoom you are to the stars, the bigger or the more magnify the movement is, and therefore you have to go faster and faster as you zoom in closer and closer. So that's why I like to do 16 millimeter, and also for the reason that we don't know where where the shower is gonna go. We know it's around the Gemini, but we don't know which direction it's gonna go. It can go far to the right, far to the left, and for that reason the wider lens just makes sense. Now in terms of where to point your camera at night, obviously if you're gonna shoot as we checked earlier, around 11 to 1 a.m. So I should clarify that 11 p.m. On the 13th of December to 1 a.m. on the 14th of December, it's gonna be on southeast, about 30 degrees angle from the horizon. Now there is the general idea. However, you might want to think in terms of your composition. Now if you want the meteor shower to kind of shower down like this, then you want to have the center of your lens right at the source of the shower. So that means the center of the lens right at the Gemini constellation. However, if you want to capture more of the long trails that goes like sideways, then you might wanna put the Gemini either on the left corner or the right corner, the right corner. I just forgot which one's left and right there for a little bit. Yeah, you want to put which the source of the radiation, or where it the source of the meteor shower, basically either on the left corner or on the right corner, and that way you have this effect where it kind of spread out into your frame. So it's just something to think about when you playing around with your composition. Now some other thing to think about: tripod. Make sure you have a sturdy tripod. If you do not have a sturdy tripod, this is once in a lifetime experience. It might not be once in a lifetime, but it's very rare, especially that this year is gonna be a new moon phase. It's very rare for that to happen, so make sure that you have the right equipment, because if you don't have a sturdy tripod, the chances are your photo is gonna be blurry. Now second things, keep warm, especially if you're here in North America. Now sometimes it gets really cold. Tomorrow it's supposed to be forecasted at -19 or something like that, and that's not including the wind chill. So one good tips for me to give to stay warm is, apart from bundling up and put as many layers as possible, if you get cold, start moving, start exercising, do jumping jacks, run back and forth, do basically physical activities to warm up your body, and then that will allow your body to warm up for a little bit, and then you could kind of focus on the shooting a little bit more. Now this is some tips in terms of setting it up. Now, how do you exactly, once you get the tripod, you got the camera set in there, you got the settings that I just mentioned earlier. One thing that you need to make sure is that the focus is spot on. So, one of the easiest way that I find to focus on the stars is if your lens have the dial indicator, then make sure that the dial indicator is within the infinity. Now, once you do that, you still have to test though, because it is not 100% accurate. So what you do is, once you dial it to infinity, take a photo of the stars and then zoom right in. Make sure that the star is as pointy as possible, right? As sharp as possible. It should be as if you have a pencil and just put a dot on the paper. That's how sharp it should be. Now, alternatively, if you don't have the dial, you could play around with the focus and do a test shot, right? What I like to do though is to set the focus into automatic and then focus past the hyperfocal distance. So, get somebody, one of your friend, walk around 30 meters away or 10 meters away, depending on how wide your lens is. Focus on that light and then switch it to manual. Now, if you buy your own and you don't have anyone to kind of go with, which most of the time that is my case, you could do a few different ways. If you have really strong torch or headlight, you could light it up on a tree or a structure that is kind of about that distance, or you could run out there, put the headlamp there, focus, run back, focus on the headlamp, switch it to manual focus, and then fetch your headlamp right after that. I know it's a little bit more tedious, but hey, you gotta just make it happen, right? You're already out there. So those are some really good tips in terms of how to focus during nighttime. Now, in any case, once you done that, just don't touch the focus dial. But I would highly recommend, if you're gonna play around with the camera, change the setting, change the orientation, just double check. You don't want to take 100 photos and then you come back home, you upload it to your computer, and then you realize that the photo are out of focus, which actually happened to me back in New Zealand. That was horrible. We wake up early in the morning, it was cold, it was like 2 in the morning. I drive out to this location to shoot the Milky Way. It was perfect. I was happy. I got home, uploaded it, and I realized that 95% of the photos were out of focus. Anyway, I digress there. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need in order to capture the comment. Um, One last thing that I would mention, there is a couple of ways for you to automate this. You could kind of like the meteor shower is gonna happen over the hour or so, even more depending however long you want to be there, right? Now, you could kind of just press the shutter one at a time, or what you could do is to set your camera on time-lapse mode. Now, I'm shooting with a 5D Mark IV and it has an internal intervalometer. And usually what I do is I set it to the setting. So for example, if you're happy with 25-second ISO 3200 at f2.8, set it to that and then make the interval 1 second. So it will open it up for 25 seconds, absorbing all that light and everything that's happening within that 25 second. And then you'll shut it, you'll record it, and it'll have 1 second interval, and then it'll open it up again and do that again, right? So that way, once you're done with all that, you could pick through your favorite or the biggest meteor that you captured. Now, you could even stack this a little bit later and then do a little bit of digital blending to put it all in one frame. If your camera doesn't have an intervalometer, it might be a little bit late now to jump into eBay or Amazon and stuff like that, but you don't need to buy the branded intervalometer. They are usually quite expensive, but you could, I have the intervalometer. I think the brand is newer. Yes, it is a newer one. um, The brand is called Newer, but there's also other cheaper brand like Photix and some other different brands. They basically works the same. It's a very simple intervalometer, but that's all you need. It literally cost me $15 to purchase those, and I've been using it to this day. It's been about a couple of years now. Actually, the first one was I used it about 4 years before it broke down. So um, yeah, like $15 is all you need instead of spending $200 on those Canon branded or Fuji branded one. All right, so hopefully that is helpful to you. Once you have this, then I'll put together another video if I manage to capture the meteor tomorrow, because the weather is not looking good at the moment. But once you do that, you can then put all of them together. You can align them in Photoshop and you can start doing your digital blending. But by following what I've just mentioned here in the video, you should have everything you need in order to do that. Actually, one last tips and one last things that I want to make sure you do is that make sure you shoot on RAW files. Do not shoot JPEG. Please, please, please do not shoot JPEG. It doesn't matter if you're not gonna process it for now, if you don't know how to process it. Down the line, when you kind of get into it, when you're ready to get into it, you still can go back to your photo and process them. So do not shoot on JPEG, please. All right, well, thank you very much, Wiki Hunters, and hopefully you guys get some luck tomorrow. I'm really not sure in terms of what the weather is gonna do here in the Canadian Rockies. Hopefully it clears up because I would love to capture them. Every time this thing happened, the clouds always hanging out just there for some reason. So really, really hope that I get a chance to do this. But thank you for now, and make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know if it's helpful, and also make sure you subscribe here and turn on that notification button. Well, go on a wicked hunt and happy weekend, everybody. Until next time, peace out.